The first thing I want you to remember as we start this deep dive is that wartime survival wasn't romantic, symbolic, or cinematic for the families who lived it. It was daily, practical, and often terrifying work. And if you have ever tried to understand what real resilience looks like, you're in the right place. Because when you look closely at how ordinary households hid food from occupying armies, you don't just learn history. You learn strategy. You learn human instinct. And you learn lessons that still matter today, whether you're a prepper, a historian, or someone who takes self-reliance seriously. For the next minute, I want to pull you into the mindset of a 1940s family, not by painting a fictional scene, but by laying out the truth. If soldiers entered your home, your food wasn't yours anymore, and they didn't take politely. They took because they could. Armies moving through Europe, Asia and Africa cleared pantries to feed troops. Rations were strict. Black markets thrived, and for families who had children, elderly relatives, or simply the will to survive, hiding certain foods wasn't optional. It was an act of defiance and protection. Every item I'm about to break down was treated like treasure, hidden under floorboards, behind false walls, sewn into clothing, buried outside, or disguised as something worthless. And knowing what was hidden tells you exactly what people valued, what kept them alive, and what survival really demanded during the harshest years of the 20th century. Let's get into the 7 foods World War II families hid from occupying soldiers, and why these foods matter for anyone studying history or building practical survival knowledge today. Dried meats were hidden because, well, they lasted and were calorie-dense. Families all across Europe and Asia tucked away smoked sausages, jerky, cured pork fat and dried fish, since, soldiers always seize protein first. These foods kept for months without refrigeration and delivered the kind of energy that could keep a worker or a child going through those brutal winters. Many families buried meat in clay jars, sealed them with wax, and hid them in gardens beneath plants that soldiers were unlikely to disturb. For modern preppers, the application is pretty straightforward, really. Long-lasting protein is still one of the smartest emergency stores, and burying sealed food caches remains a reliable strategy when dealing with forced confiscation or natural disasters. Root vegetables were hidden because they were survival staples that soldiers rarely checked deeply for. Carrots, potatoes, turnips and beets were buried in cellars behind false walls or beneath firewood piles. Families hid them because they grew in abundance, stored well, and, honestly, kept people alive when bread and meat were gone. Soldiers usually searched for grains and canned goods, not humble root piles, which made them perfect for concealment. If you're applying this today, well, think of long-lasting produce you can store in natural cellars or insulated ground pits, methods that require zero electricity and still work flawlessly. Flour was hidden because it could become anything. Flour meant bread, dumplings, noodles and pancakes, comfort and calories in one. Armies confiscated it immediately. Families often divided flour into very small cloth pouches and hid them in furniture joints, under baby cribs, or inside stacked firewood. Some even mixed it with animal feed sacks to disguise it. For modern use, this is a reminder to diversify storage. Don't put all your staple carbs in one container. Spread them out. Small caches are harder to lose all at once. Cooking fats were hidden because, honestly, they were more valuable than money. Butter, lard and oils became some of the most precious commodities of the war. Without fat, people starved, even if they had enough carbohydrates, you know? Occupying troops would seize fats for their field kitchens first, so families got creative, hiding their supplies in sealed tins inside cloth laundry baskets, or even submerging them in watertight jars down in wells. Fats also commanded high prices on the black market, making them, well, an economic lifeline for many. A modern survival takeaway is simple: stock more fats than you think you need. They're calorie-dense, versatile, and, well, historically proven to be the first items to vanish. Honey was hidden because it never spoiled, and believe it or not, it replaced both medicine and sugar. Honey was priceless. It sweetened food when sugar rations ran out and doubled as wound treatment and cough relief. Many households stored honey in ceramic jugs, buried in chicken coops, since, you know, soldiers rarely sifted through manure or animal bedding. These days, there's a really useful lesson to take from the past. It's a good idea to store natural sweeteners like honey, since they work both as food and as a kind of medical supply. And you know, livestock areas are still clever hiding spots for sealed items, even now. Grains were hidden because, well, they could actually be replanted. Rye, wheat, oats, barley, these weren't just food, they were next year's survival, plain and simple. Soldiers understood this all too well and would often seize grains to stop any resistance, which made keeping them really dangerous. So families got creative, hiding grains in hollow beams, inside mattresses, or sealing them up in waterproof bags and burying them in fields far from the house. Today, storing heirloom seeds in multiple hidden locations offers resilience if your main food supply is ever compromised. Home canned foods were hidden because they provided whole meals. Jars of fruit, beans, jam, pickled vegetables and preserved meats were the pride of wartime households. These jars were often hidden under loose floorboards or disguised inside broken, unused ovens. The reason was simple. Canned food meant immediate survival, and that made it the first target for patrol searches. Modern preppers can apply this by keeping part of their canned supply in non-obvious locations: garage rafters, sealed crawl spaces, or disguised storage containers. When you study what wartime families hid, you're studying what truly matters when pressure hits society. You're studying resourcefulness, concealment, and the instinct to preserve life under occupation. These lessons are as valuable to serious historians as they are to anyone focused on preparedness. If you found this guide helpful and want more deep historical breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe to The Prepper Historian and share this with someone who appreciates real survival history.